Listen to this episode if you want a real story of one of my clients who grew their business from just a couple of sales a month to actually being on autopilot while they're on leave. Just to give you a little bit of context on this, what we're really going to go through today is I'm going to give you some context on this business, what we really did together, what results she saw, what she didn't do, and what is really important to note about her overall story. This is something that I get from my community members a lot that are like, Maddie, I love your trainings, I love your frameworks, but like, I want to hear real stories. And I have a bunch of these. If you just type them in, clients case studies or client stories. I also have some of my real clients that came on to have a discussion about it. But today, we're really just going to go into the nitty gritty of what this person did, where they were, where they came out after a little bit of support, and where they are really right now. So to give you a little bit of context, this is a seasonal company. Primarily her sales are between, like March through July or August. She has a pretty niche audience and she has a product that is made to solve a very specific problem. So, there's a lot of different types of businesses out there. There are businesses that are creating in a really saturated industry. There are businesses that are inventing something. There are businesses that are solving a problem that there's not really a problem solved out there for. The really big thing to note here is that she has a product that she basically was like, wow, there's nothing out there that fills this gap. I am going to fill it. And if you have a product that is that way, just know that you are really sitting on like an absolute gold mine if you can do the things correctly, because it means that people are already searching for it. It means that people really need it. It's just not out there yet for you. Now, if you don't yet have that, that's okay, but we do have to create some element of that within your marketing. Every brand needs to know what problem they're solving and what is the story that their consumer is going to have in their head when it comes down to it. So I looked at her input form and she came to me with making just a couple of sales a month. She was really kind of struggling to grow. She didn't feel like she had a consistent social media. She didn't have consistent sales. She didn't really know what it looked like to grow from where she was at. She basically had an idea. She had a bunch of inventory. She had purchased all of her products. She had everything really set up, except she just didn't know how to do the business side of things. She's like, Maddie, I know I have an incredible product, but now how do I really grow this? How do I get it in front of the right people? How do I get people to actually want to buy? And this is how she went from just a few sales a month to making $8,000 to $10,000 a month this year while she needed to step away for a little bit on leave. And this is something that is so important. You know that I'm really into the freedom side of business. And of course, she's still working through her leave. However, she is able to really take a step back and really be able to put her business on autopilot. And we have found a lot of different ways to do that. So that is what we're talking about today. I just want to give a quick little disclaimer. No two businesses' growth is going to be the exact same. This is why all of my courses, all of my programs, all of my clients have some sort of one-on-one capacity with me, just because every business growth is nuanced. Your business growth is nuanced. The strategy that you need is nuanced based on your goals, on your industry, on your product. And so your business support needs to be nuanced as well. So don't take this as like gospel. Let's do absolutely everything from head to toe here. I want you to take this as this is a way that this client has done it. This was her story, and you might be able to take some tidbits from that as well. Before we dive in, I just want to take 10 quick seconds to introduce myself. My name is Madison Page. I am a business growth specialist, and I help people turn their small businesses into a brand so they can achieve their biggest, most audacious goals. We are really diving into an exact strategy of how she did that. I just kind of want to first go down of what we overall did. Again, she came in, she had inventory, she had a great product. She didn't have much of a community quite yet. She really just didn't know how to grow and how to do the business side, how to do the marketing and how to do the sales. She joined in my program called PTP, Product to Profit. And this is what we did. This was what was in her custom growth plan for us to do together. First things first is we refined her messaging. Because she had a product that was, again, filling the gap in the market, we needed to have really solid messaging. So A, people knew what gap it was filling. B, people needed to know what it really was and why it was filling that gap, what the problem was, and really so she could speak directly to the person that is experiencing this problem. It was very much so a micro tweaks, a content strategy thing where we were like, all right, we have to come up with pillars in order to get this message out there. We were able to refine her messaging because she had a very niche audience. When you have a very niche audience, you need very niche messaging. messaging, because those people need to know how specific your brand is and who that brand is really for. So the first thing we did that I noticed right off the bat was that her marketing was a little too broad. She was kind of trying to talk to everybody as opposed to really talking to her actual ideal customer. She knew who she was trying to sell to, but she just didn't know how to speak to them and how to get her messaging across. This is a really big thing that I do with a lot of my clients, because it can literally be small little micro tweaks. It can be a tweak like, just rewording your major kind of unique value proposition. So when people find you, they know exactly what it is that you do, what the benefit of it is, and how this is really made for me. The next one is that we streamlined her buying cycle. Her website wasn't really converting despite getting views, and especially with her business, because once she launched, she has something, again, people are searching for it already, but it just doesn't exist. So if we could really get it where people were finding her on social, people were finding her on search, and we needed people from both search and social and any of her other marketing efforts to be able to convert through this website. Why that's different is because people that follow you on social are already nurtured. They're already warm. They're getting so much more marketing from you. They're getting so much more messaging. You're communicating, what is the problem that we're solving? Let's talk about the different styles or whatever that might be in your marketing. So people that come to your website from your marketing are much more warm than people that are finding you from a cold email search where they're just searching up and they're popping up on your website. So we needed her buying process and her website to really be made from cold to warm to hot leads, and really to tell the entire story, again, to get that proper messaging across, and just having some kind of buyer psychology, consumer behavior strategies on her website to allow for people to find it without ever seeing her brand before and actually start converting. Her website had to share the entire story of her brand and do all of the marketing and the sales for her. Why this is different is because she is going to focus, which is something on here, is that we're going to focus on the search side of it, because people are searching for it and they can't find a replacement. So she needs to be the top of that Google search every time somebody finds her. And when somebody finds her, we need her website to convert somebody that's never heard about her before and to communicate everything it needed to communicate, which is different than if you are primarily on social media. Now, I think it should do this anyway. You should always have a website that does that anyway, but it's a lot easier when you have this community that loves you, that people can integrate into, your content is there on social media, and then they're buying from you. Again, a really great example of how everybody's growth strategy is very different is because this was something that would work for her. Now, if you are in a very saturated industry, it's going to be really hard to compete in that measure, and it might not have to be as comprehensive as this brand had to be. So we had to streamline her buying cycle because we knew she was going to get cold people in her overall business. That'll just bring me to the next one, is that we doubled down on SEO. We knew from doing extensive research that people were looking for what she had. People were looking for the problem that she was solving. People were looking for the problem that she had noticed as well. Like, she is a woman, she realized this issue and she said, I need to fill this gap. And she knew that other people had this problem, and she knew other people were looking to fill this gap as well. She was seeing a lot of natural search traffic, but this was why her conversion rate on her website was so low, because like I just said, her website wasn't optimized for cold people. So what we did is, because she hadn't done any SEO, but yet she was already seeing some SEO driven traffic, which is search engine optimization, we basically doubled down on it. We did some extra keywords. We did some extra SEO strategies behind the scenes on her website. She was able to come up in a lot of different areas in many different searches. The majority of her search traffic was coming from one major search traffic, like one major search term that people were typing into Google. So what we did was we broadened the horizons, we added more keywords, we got more intentional with her overall search engine traffic, and we were able to really broaden those horizons and get her to show up in many different ways. What this has been able for her to do is, especially now when she's on leave, people are still finding her website even when she's not on social media as much, even when she is not on social media as much as she could be, then people were still finding her. And still to this day, the majority of her sales are coming from her SEO, which is incredible because, again, if you can convert people on SEO, you have a gold mine on social media. You just have to have the right content and the right strategy in order to do that. So what I like to call this is her consistent consistent, reliable sales funnel, and then we scaled it. So what we were able to do is we got her to the point of her ranking really highly for 5 to 10 different keywords that people were searching on Google, and people were consistently finding that. And as the search traffic increases, she was able to get more and more and more sales. As we tweaked her website, her conversion rate increased. As she was able to step back, people were still able to find her. Every brand, when it gets to the point of needing to get past consistent sales, needs to find a reliable source of sales. For her, it was SEO, meaning reliable source is that something that happens without you even having to act. When I talk about you need to be able to have a business that if you need to take a step back, it's still maintaining sales and it's still working for you. If you need a business that you don't want to be showing up on social media 24/7, basically begging people to buy from you in order to make sales, we need to come up with a consistent stream of sales, a reliable sales funnel. This was the one that we chose for her because it was the natural next step for somebody that already had some search traffic because she was filling a gap in the market. The next one is that we got some good top of funnel brand awareness. When I say top of funnel, I mean people that are just finding her. We are really talking about overall brand awareness. We got new people into her community, into her world, and knowing that she was around. We basically got her visibility. We found a formula that really works for her to get seen in the right places. Now, I just want to say the only way to get this top of funnel is not Reels. I think so many people right now, Instagram Reels reach is hard to get, especially when you're starting fresh on a new account. I have a lot of clients that their major goal is visibility, and we have to get scrappier than just using Instagram Reels for visibility. Now, this client, we did find a formula that worked really well for her on Instagram Reels. She had a couple of viral Instagram Reels. We basically found a formula that really worked for her to get seen in the right places. She had articles, she had news features, she had influencers, and she also had a couple of viral Reels. So what that allowed is it just allowed for people that had very intentional people that were having this problem to be seen by her. And when you have a product that has the inherent problem in the marketing that you are solving, and that when we've already refined this messaging, when we've streamlined this buying cycle for cold leads, that top of funnel actually does convert a lot better because you are set up to convert cold people as well as you are set up to tell people, hey, do you have this problem? We are the perfect brand to solve it for you as well. And then last but not least, we found a rinse and repeat marketing structure with her content pillars to allow her to post very little, but also have a big impact. Again, we knew she had to take it a step back. We had a little bit of time to prep. That was when we were kind of working together. And we basically found content pillars that one helped her grow, one helped her nurture, and one helped her sell. And so we were able to kind of cover all of those bases. She has a very solid, intentional marketing plan that she knows if she can just stay consistent at this lower rate, her sales are still going to come in. She will still be servicing her community that she has. She will still get some of those return customers. And she's been able to kind of post a lot less, show up a lot less, and still have those sales coming. So again, when we look at this, we had a reliable source of sales, which was her SEO. We knew that no matter what she was doing, that was set up, that was working in the background without her even having to do anything. So if she didn't post on social media for a month, she was still making sales because we had a reliable source of sales somewhere else. Now, that doesn't mean that that can't be social media for you, but for her, it was search. And that was something that was really important. And now her community on social media is more of a nurture point to the people that are already love her. And we can, when it's time for her to really step fully back into her business, I know she will be able to really tackle a lot of different pieces, see a lot of really big growth, because what all we have to do is take that messaging that we already know works, double down on it in her marketing, and get in front of more people, get more of that brand awareness, really grow her reach. And we already have full proof of concept in her marketing, in her strategy, in her sales process, in her product, in her return customers. We know everything is set up. Now, all she'll need when she steps back in order for her to scale is more brand awareness. And we already have such a great plan in order to do that. Hey, I'm jumping in here for 30 quick seconds for those of you listening and thinking, all right, but how do I actually apply this to my business? Every week here, I share strategies, case studies, growth mistakes to avoid, but your business growth is nuanced. So your business support has to be nuanced as well. That's why all of my support includes me inside of your business, your ideas, your launches, your content, perfecting what you're already building and uncovering your hidden opportunities to scale. This isn't a cookie cutter course. It's a high level personalized support system to help you optimize your brand, your strategy, and every single person your business touches. If you want my eyes and my brain on your branding, your sales, your marketing, and your overall growth plan, click the link in the show notes to apply. Let's see what we can build together. I just want to really highlight and point out the intentionality behind everything. What we've really seen here is that from looking at these 5 major steps, refined her messaging, streamlined her buying cycle, got some top of funnel brand awareness, doubled down on the search traffic, as well as found a rinse and repeat marketing structure. There is so much intentionality behind every single one of her actions because A, we knew she was going to have to do this leave, and B, we wanted her to be able to build a business that was sustainable, scalable, and on all autopilot, and it was still growing. So she needed to step away from intensively building this brand, and her hiatus was during her busy season, right? And so she only has this like kind of small window to make her really big sales. There's some brands that have a little bit more of an ebb and flow. There's some people that have a really big jump. They are a fall brand, they are a winter brand, they are a summer brand, and people really buy from them during those times. And then their sales really drastically dip off. Just like, in the middle of the summer right now, when was the last time you thought about buying something that is basically primarily for the winter? I have to tell clients this all the time. Hey, you're not buying earmuffs right now, right? Nobody's thinking about buying earmuffs right now. Nobody's thinking about buying your sunscreen right now either. And so, we have to look at it different times of year. Some people are just not thinking about what your product is. And that was definitely true for her. And because her hiatus naturally, of course, had to come during her busiest season, we had to find a way that allowed for people to still find her and allowed for her to still grow. And the best part is that she is seeing record-breaking sales every single month, and she's actually been able to take a big step back. So what we didn't do here is also just as important as what we did do. First things first is we didn't launch a bunch of new products. She has her inventory, she has her SKUs, they're great. We know that they're great. You don't have to mess with your actual product suite in order to increase your sales. That is not the avenue for everybody. So many people are like, oh my gosh, I think I just need to launch this new product, and this is what's finally going to increase my sales from $3,000 to $5,000 a month if I just had this product. That is rarely going to be the case. We did not launch any new products for a couple of years with her brand. The next one is that we didn't try new objectives for growth all of the time. Everything we did went back to these same roots. We went back to communicating her message properly, having her rinse and repeat marketing strategy, and doubling down on search. We didn't try a bunch of things. Because we knew we were planning for a very specific type of business, because I had seen this before. I've had dozens of clients just like this. I was able to say, hey, these are these exact objectives that we need to do. I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to, even waste your time trying to focus on those things and just not be able to actually fully dive into them. I want you to do these things because I see it having the biggest ROI for your overall time. So she had a very intentional plan, and she had very strict objectives that this was exactly what she needed to do. She was confident in it, and we saw the results happen. The next one is we didn't leave her sales up to chance. A big piece here is that we knew what was already slightly working. First things, we had to refine it because we looked at her data and we saw she had cold traffic coming in that was not converting highly at all. So what we had to do was refine that sales process, and we added in strategy that allowed for that cold sales to come through, as well as we saw that that was already working for her. So we doubled down on it. This is something really important in business, is realizing, looking at your data also tells you what's not working and what is working, and what's not working can be booted, and what is working should be doubled down on. That was something that we did here, is we didn't leave her sales up to chance. Everything was intentional. Everything was strategic, all because I could look at her data and already see what was naturally happening with her just trying to have a business in general without ever having strategy there in the first place. This was naturally happening for her. So obviously, let's double down on the things that were naturally working for her business before she even had a strategy. But now let's just do it in a strategic, intentional way. The next one thing is that we didn't do is we didn't try to go viral. When you have a business like this that is plugging a gap in the market or that is solving a very specific problem, it is actually very easy to go viral. I know now we could make her to go viral. She had a couple of videos that actually kind of accidentally went viral. We weren't really trying for it because we were looking for top of funnel in different areas to have that more reliable sales channel, because virality is not the goal many times. Because what happens is if you go viral, you get a quick influx of 150 orders. Sometimes you don't have 150 units in inventory. Sometimes you are then just like left chasing that dopamine or chasing that high of another viral video, and that is out of your control. What we did is we found proof of concept in a reliable sales funnel. We found proof of concept in top of funnel brand awareness. We found proof of concept that her website converted people that were cold, warm, and hot leads all across the board. And now we can look at going viral a little bit because we've streamlined a lot of those processes before, but the majority of the time, your goal isn't to go fully viral. Now, it's great to go fully viral. That's awesome. However, a lot of negative comes with virality as well. With virality, you get negativity. With virality, you get, a big influx in sales. It also might take you a lot longer to fulfill those orders because you have so many things going on, which often leads to actually customer experience that wasn't as key and wasn't as big as you actually wanted it to be. And virality comes with attracting audiences that you don't really want. I have a lot of clients that have gone viral and have actually grown an audience full of people that are not their ideal customer. In this situation, she had to be very careful of who she was going viral to because of A, the backlash that could come from it, B, the amount of, sales experience that could come from it, and C, we just wanted to make sure we had everything streamlined in the back end. Your goal is to not go viral in those first couple of weeks of your business. We got to get all of the kinks out before we do that, because when you do go viral, when you do have 1 million views on a post or 10 million or 500,000, whatever that might be, we want everything to be so dialed that everything is as effective as it can be. A, you are maximizing the eyes that you're getting. So everything is set up to convert those cold people so you get immediate sales. B, things are set up to convert those people into followers and lifelong customers within your overall community. And C, we can actually maintain it in the back end. A lot of people come to me wanting to go viral, wanting to get 10,000 followers on your profile. That doesn't really fully matter. The 10,000 followers doesn't really matter if things are not converting. If your behind the scenes can't take it. I have a lot of clients that think they want 10,000 followers, and I'm like, all right, if I 10x your following tomorrow, can you 10x your sales tomorrow with your current capacity, with your current fulfillment, with your current production? Do we actually have the availability to do that? So we had to get everything set up for her to be able to do that as well. This client is consistently having her biggest sales month ever while not needing to be on 100%. But what this tells me is when she's able to come back from her hiatus, what she's going to be able to do is that her growth will be tenfold. And I have told her, you are like sitting on this gold mine, and I'm so excited for you, because what this means is when you're able to fully come back and fully be able to commit to it and like really dive into it, we know your business is going to grow really, really quickly. Because what happens here is she has a marketing funnel, she has a sales funnel, we have proof of concept, we know who her ideal customer is, we know that they buy again and again and again. We have everything set up. All she needs is now the awareness. She just needs to get in front of the right people. She has the foundations, the data, the proof of concept. It's important as a business owner to actually understand when to scale. We knew that if we wanted to, we could have blown her business up 6 months ago, but it actually wasn't good for her at the time. She knew she wouldn't be able to be the founder that she wanted to be. She knew she wouldn't be able to be as in it as she wanted to be. She knew her customers wouldn't get the right experience if we blew up then. And so what we're going to do now is, once her busy season is kind of over, she can kind of get back to it when her personal hiatus can come back. Then we're able to really double down and get her the awareness that she needs. And then we can really scale, knowing everything is systemized and really set up. Now that we know how to consistently get her to this point of $8,000 to $10,000 of sales a month, it's time for her to expand in a big way when it's up to her, when she's ready for it, and when she knows that she wants to have a multi six figure or a seven figure business, when she's ready to go all in and actually achieve those goals, because it just wasn't ready. She wasn't ready for it right now with what is going on in her personal life. But how incredibly empowering is it that you can have this like gold mine that you're sitting on, that you have all of this confidence of, you know, exactly how to do it, and exactly, you know, with intentionality, what objectives, what actions you need to take in order to get there. That is what is so incredibly sweet, incredible, inspiring about this story, which is why I wanted to share it with you. Because I think there's a lot of stories out there. There's just like so much noise of people being like, I blew up in 6 weeks. You know, I blew up in 8 weeks. Oh my gosh, my post went viral and I made $25,000 in X amount of days. And a lot of times that's not reality. And I wish growth was really, really quick for everybody, but it's not the case. And if it was, the success rate of businesses would be much higher, and the saturation in business would be much higher, because everybody would be starting a business. Business growth takes time. Business growth is hard. Business growth takes you showing up day after day. It allows you to have so much freedom when we can build it, but it takes time. There's so many stories out there. The Osea skincare company, they said were in business for 20 years before they actually quote unquote blew up. And so many people were like, wow, this business came out of nowhere. You know, it was an overnight success. And they're like, no, we've been grinding at this for 20 years. And they had to just wait it out, but they believed in their product, they believed in their mission, and they knew that it would happen. And when they started to actually look at the real strategies that they knew that they needed to do, that they started to be like, all right, let's just go all in on this strategy, see what happens. And it started to work. And now they're in stores everywhere. Now I don't even know how many millions of dollars they do in sales a year. And so understanding that business growth takes time, understanding that it's okay for you to know that right now isn't the time for you to grow your business, but it's also understanding that what's so important is that intentionality, is that strategy. That's something I really want to highlight in today's episode, is how intentional every single thing this client did was. Now, she didn't know she was going to have to be on this hiatus right now. So when we started working together, you know, it kind of started to come to light. She was like, hey, Maddie, you know, this is something that's happening. This is something I'm going to have to do. So then we shifted her sales like strategy. We shifted her strategy from, all right, let's blow this thing up, to, hey, let's like take a sec. Let's get this all situated. Let's make sure that we have some of these more reliable sales things so we can actually take a step back. Now, whether you have a client that's on maternity leave, or you have, you know, a parent that gets sick, or, you know, you're having something with your kid that you need to take a step back, or I've seen it all in business at this point, but that is just part of life. That is part of being a founder. As I have owned my business and run this business, I have had things all over the board happen, from good to bad. I have had, you know, my grandma died and I had to go spend time with her before she passed away. I have had things happen in my family. I have had things happen personally. I have had health struggles with my hormones. Like, you guys have heard it all here. And one of the pieces that I have been so incredibly grateful for is that I have built a business that I know the strategy, and I'm confident enough on that I know that I can take step backs, intentional steps back, and things are still working for me. Things are still happening. I know I'm getting married in October. I know I'm going to take at least a week or 10 days off just while my family's traveling. We're traveling. Everybody in the wedding is traveling somewhere. And I know I'm not going to want to be working the day before my wedding, and that's okay. And I know I will still have sales. I know my marketing will still be converting. I know my leads will still be coming in. And I know, because I have a strategy and I've seen the proof of concept, and now all you have to do is consistently execute. I think that is so underrated in business, is when things get boring, people think it's not working, but it's in the boring, it's in that monotonous, and it's in that consistent execution of the right tasks. Don't get me wrong. It has to be of the right tasks, but it's in that consistent execution of the right things that you know are working, that you know have worked for you in the past. You just have to consistently work. That is where your growth really comes from. And that is where the empowerment comes from in business. Little bit of tangent there at the end, but I hope that this case study was interesting for you. I hope that you'd like to hear kind of these real life stories. I know I always like to hear them. I know I'm always listening to other people talk about their growth stories. So I wanted to bring this one to you as well. If you are really craving this support, this intentionality, understanding of the strategy, you're kind of sick of winging it, this is something that I do with many clients, is I help them really understand what strategies they should do, what they need to prioritize, and how they can get their business set up. And it can be on autopilot, or it can be be to rapidly scale it. Again, business growth will always take time, and I will never tell you that, I will guarantee you will have $1 million in sales in 6 weeks. I wish I could. It's just not how business works, but I can absolutely help you get there and help you get to this structured, confident, growing, momentum, strategized place in business. If you're interested in that, as always, you can always DM me on Instagram at This Is Madison Page. You can check me out there. You can look at what all of that looks like, but I would absolutely love to support you at that capacity. If you have any questions for me, my DMs are always open. Make sure that you pop on in there. I love chit-chatting with you. I love to hear that you found the podcast and that you're loving it. It makes me so dang happy anytime that I get a message that says how much you're loving the pod. I hope you have a great day. I love you. I'm rooting for you, and I'm in your corner always. If you found today's episode helpful and are looking for more tangible ways to grow your business, make sure you are subscribed to the show. If you want to dive deeper into this topic more, click the link in the show notes and join our completely free podcast community where we dive into every single podcast topic, as well as give some bonus support and free coaching calls. And finally, if you are interested in getting my eyes on your business to find your hidden opportunities to scale, apply to work with me one-on-one in the show notes or on our website. Remember, it's not enough to listen. Don't forget to implement too. I love ya. I'll see you in the next episode.